afternoon, sir.
Welcome to the Transportation Committee meeting of November 9, 2016. I am Councilman Mike Bonin, joined by my colleague Paul Koretz, and Mr. David Rue should be joining us in just a couple minutes. We ordinarily start this meeting with our multimodal roll call, but let's do a slight variation today. By a show of hands, who in the room is excited that voters in Los Angeles County by 70% approved Measure M? I thought this would be a good room for it. Even higher than 70%. Okay. Let's start with item 1, employee recognition.
Item number 1 is General Manager from LADOT, here to present a verbal report relative to the Department of Zoning and Projects and recognition of LADOT employees for outstanding service.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to come forward and address the committee and recognize some of our outstanding performers. Today is the day that we also actually hosted our Outstanding Performers Breakfast. So now, on an annual basis, once a year, we bring together everybody that we recognize over the course of the year and host a breakfast in the Tom Bradley Room. And I want to thank the chair for your assistance in getting that room and sending your staff to share some of your perspectives on sort of your appreciation for the work that LADOT does. I like to think of the resounding success of Measure M as in part a vote of confidence in the work that's done by the city and by Metro, in support of each other. That, when you're sitting in the ballot box and you're being asked to reach into your pocketbook, you think back to those interactions you had with city staff or with Metro, as whether or not you're willing to give your money to make the transportation in Los Angeles better. So I think that's a credit a lot to the work that LADOT does. We are all in public service because we are grateful for what we've been given and for the opportunity to give back. And that's really what that breakfast is about, and it's what this recognition is about. And I think today, perhaps more than any other day, I wanted to make sure that we start with gratitude.
Thank you for that.
With that, I wanted to start by recognizing Jamila Ardalan, so Systems Analyst 1. Please stand. Jamila is in our IT division, and she's responsible for developing and maintaining new computer applications for all of LADOT. She's been instrumental in the recent implementation of LADOT's new style guide, used department-wide and available only on the website she maintains, which is LADOT's intranet. Additionally, Jamila was the technical lead on the creation of the legal records review system, which helps ensure all public records requests and subpoenas are accounted for in a timely manner, avoiding potential litigation costs. We recognize Jamila's contribution and diligence, which has helped make LADOT an efficient 21st century organization. Jamila has been with the city since April of 2005, and I think that almost every single person on the executive team has had a chance to work with Jamila. She has been a lifesaver in many instances and been able to make us a better place to work. And she's somebody that is reliable and intelligent, and we're very lucky to have her at LADOT. So thank you so much, Jamila. And from our field operations, I would like to recognize Dennis Shicento, a systems electrician. Dennis works in the Valley Yard, and he's known to his colleagues as the guy that always goes out of his way to assist crew members when issues arise. He has a great work ethic and cares deeply about keeping the public safe. He is the true definition of a team player and takes initiative in a variety of circumstances. Most recently, he went above and beyond to assist another crew with emergency signal maintenance issues when additional help was needed and nobody else was there. Dennis has been with the city since March of 1992 and is truly an asset to LADOT. Thanks, Dennis. LADOT is honored to recognize these individuals for their outstanding performance and dedication to the residents of the city of Los Angeles. And with that, I'm happy to take any other questions that the committee might have.
Well, first of all, congratulations to both of you. Thank you for all the great work you do for the City of Los Angeles. Thank you for doing this every month at this meeting. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it personally today, but eager to find other ways to thank and applaud the incredible workers at Department of Transportation and our other agencies. And yes, thank you in particular for doing it today. Anybody have any questions for the General Manager?
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. We've been joined by Mr. Rue. We will now go to public comment. Mr. Herman, you have, where's Mr. Herman? Are you coming up? Are you coming up? You have a total of 2 minutes for items 1, 3, 7, 9, 10, and 11, and then you have 1 minute for public comment. So we'll start with 2 minutes, and you will stick to those items.
Well, as you all are aware, that such conditions for establishment of oversized vehicles on pretty much item 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I find them, and 1 and 2, unconstitutional. As you heard this morning in the old business at City Hall Business in room 340, people were against the actions of taking the cycle of the ridiculous cycle of putting people out of their homes, which is a car or a truck or an oversized vehicle, and throwing your dumb ass into the street. What a bunch of morons. And then since I signed up for every car, like I do every time, as announced by every councilman, I want to point out how ridiculous it is on item 7 for resolution by Joe Blow Busquiano, who established an oversized vehicle restricted streets. But yet, his restriction is not on the issue of the green line off of Wilmington and Imperial, because there are people attempting to live in their oversized vehicles near the medical marijuana shop that he and that dumb bitch put up for us to smoke and drive and get high with. And then in my last closing seconds, under item 9, Measure R, serve as a match grant, I oppose because there was no community impact statement on the backfill reimbursement on the analysts. And then on item 10, oh, better, let's go to 11, a $384,983 sanctuary for the cities. No, Wayne, it's no sanctuary. It's Measure R. The voters voted 35% from Metro and the 65% by paying for the city of LA.
Thank you. You now have 60 seconds for general public comment.
Woo! Did you hear it? Red, white, and blue? All the Democrats are so sore because they were counting on all the jobs promised by Hillary, and the Republicans squashed them because they're sick and tired of big government.
That's not a matter before this committee. You can do general public comment, but it has to be
infrastructure of how to build better streets and sidewalks so that all Americans who are disabled, as you brought out in your lengthy 1-hour presentations for veterans, who I salute, but unfortunately,
off topic, Mr. Herman.
Transportation is not in favor of you, because when you go serve us and fight and you lose a limb, our sidewalk and streets are not adequate services due to poor transportation by this committee and all those poverty pimps who supported Hillary and lost all their pay-to-pay special interests on jobs. Trump.
Thank you.
Trump.
Mr. Spindler, you have 60 seconds for general public comment. Mr. Spindler here? All right, Mr. Spindler forgoes his time. All right, colleagues, I'm going to recommend we move items 1 through 4 and 6 through 9 on consent. Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, that's the direction of the committee. Those 8 items are approved. And that brings us to item number 5.
Item number 5 is a Harris-Dawson Bonin resolution relative to the establishment of oversized vehicle restricted streets for certain street segments in CD8.
Okay, on this item we have a number of public comment cards. Pastor Francis Oladell. Kimby, is that the name? Okay. Have a hard time with the handwriting, I'm sorry. Please come on up. Wayne? Please go ahead, sir. Identify yourself and then begin.
That area of Los Angeles is a place for everybody to enjoy, but it has been abused by these heavy-duty vehicles, illegal parking, and dumping of refuse. And we have done everything possible to appeal to them, and it appears as if this symptoms they are deaf ears. We have even did this community cleaning to make that place easy for everybody to enjoy. But see, they always come in the night to park that place, and it has even caused accidents. And we have called 911 more than one or twice to see the effects of these heavy-duty vehicles, and they pass there. So we appeal to this authority to look into that, so that we curb them.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Uwaye, and I'm speaking regarding the east side of Lansing and Mill and South Avenue, South May and South Avalon Boulevard. And due to this oversized vehicle, the way they park, I was almost struck with another vehicle last week because I was going to make a left, and the oversized vehicle was all over the street, that the vehicle coming was almost running onto me. So I'm against it because of safety purpose. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also my name is Kumbi, and I want to just piggyback on what they've all said about the north side of East Lansing and between Main Street and South Avalon to have restrictive parking there because we have illegal dumping there all the time. I have to call the city every other week to come and pick up the illegal dump, whatever is dumped there. And now this morning again I have a fresh dump, illegal dumping. So I took the picture just today, and this is kind of what we see there all the time. And these oversized vehicles and some other vehicles that are parked there, they kind of make it easy for these dumpings. So I would like the city to look into that so that they can have restrictions.
Thank you. Thank you all. There are three more speakers, Luis Ramirez, Regilio Sanchez, and Itzel Ronson. Please go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Luis Ramirez. I'm sorry I don't speak English. She talked to you for English, Spanish.
Oh, if you'd like her to translate, we'll double the amount of time so that you don't lose it. So if you could add another minute, Adam.
Okay. Señores del jurado, nosotros venimos con la molestia de la ciudad que queremos ver si nos pueden ayudar respecto al problema que tenemos alrededor de nuestra escuela donde estudian nuestros hijos. Hemos visto muchas trailers paradas ahí en malas condiciones, haciendo cosas que no deben de hacer públicamente, vendiendo drogas, y hay muchas cositas que en verdad yo no puedo decirles a mi manera, pero eso es de día y de noche. Y he visto también que están robándole a la escuela la electricidad para tener acceso a vivir en esas casas móviles.
I come before you today as a parent and representative of the school that my student attends. I come here to deal and explain the problem that we are dealing with. We have a lot of oversized vehicles parked in the rear of our school. They're not only dumping stuff illegally there, but they also commit a lot of acts that I and other parents don't like. Amongst them includes the selling of drugs, illegal dumping, including biological waste. And they also steal from the light poles that we have outside our school, which affects the students because there is a light post that they use so they can live in those homes.
Ya, yo personalmente he visto la venta de drogas públicamente a horas del día en que voy a recoger a mi hijo, y ya a las 8 de la mañana que lo llevo a las 7:35 que lo voy a dejar. Hay muchas personas en una traila como forma de viviendas que no tienen exceso ni de luz ni de agua y están robándole la corriente a...
Thank you very much.
I have personally seen them selling drugs during school hours, during the day hours, and that's something that I don't think our students should be exposed to.
Thank you. Mr. Herman, one more disruption from you, whether audible or visible, and you're going to be removed from the room. All right, please, you have 1 minute.
Okay. My name's Itzel Ronson. I'm a parent engagement specialist at our school. I have connections with parents, students, and staff, so I can almost clearly say from all three perspectives that is becoming a bigger issue than what we seem. The students don't feel comfortable going to the back of our school waiting for their parents because they have seen people doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. They have seen the selling of drugs. There's biological waste down there. And as a school, I feel like we should maintain our students' health first. We should always look out for their best interests. And if that includes having some kind of permit saying that we shouldn't allow those kind of oversized vehicles behind our school and we should remove those dangers for them, that's what we should do. As our school, our best interest is looking for the students, and I appeal to you today to kind of help us out because we are trying. We do community cleanups every year. We clean up that area, and by the next day, it's the same. Our students feel like they're not being supported, and our students feel like they're trying, but they're not getting anywhere.
Thank you.
My name is Rogelio Sanchez. I am the principal of Judy Ivy Birding Technology Academy High School. The street in question is Olive Street. Many oversized vehicles do park RVs, trailers. It's very difficult to make a right turn. It is a one-way street. Making a right turn onto the freeway, it's very hazardous when the parents pick up students. The cars are in the way, impeding traffic. Also, like they mentioned, the dumping of sewage and the power that they do steal from the posts are out. And when our kids do run for PE, we have to make sure our security guards out there with them, just because of the issues that are outside and also with the live wires that are exposed. So I would like to see if there was the restriction on the oversized vehicles for the safety of the students.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, everybody. All right, colleagues, CD8 is obviously requesting approval of this. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Without objection, the item is approved. Okay, that brings us to item number 10.
Item number 10 is a CAO report relative to funding for additional parking for the Pico Robertson Senior Community Apartments.
Mr. Kretz, feel free to run the show on this item if you'd like.
Oh, thank you. Just to give a little background, this is located near the Pico Robertson area, a set of senior housing apartments that are going to be built by Mercy Housing. This has been an empty surface parking lot for decades, and council members dating back to Zev Yaroslavsky have promised that this would both be senior housing and a parking structure. Before I got elected, it was approved as senior housing, but relatively recently, the community and Mercy Housing both agreed that they could do the other piece by allowing for an extra floor of parking being added to the project. I became aware that this was a Zev Yaroslavsky promise somewhat at the last minute, but it's something that I had wanted to see for many years as well, desperately needed. And this is an opportunity to create significant additional parking without having to pay for any property. because the property is already there, the project is already being built. It's just an extra floor. And we believe we have found ways to fund this using money that would have otherwise gone for a different project in the special housing fund, special parking fund. And this should also amortize itself relatively quickly. Right now, we are charging 50 cents an hour for the existing spaces, which will be replicated in the building. The ability to double that to $1 an hour is not out of line, would provide us additional revenue, plus for this additional floor of parking the same. So we both have a place to fund it quickly, but we also think this will pay itself back relatively quickly and will then be a revenue source for the city from then on. So I ask for your support.
Mr. Hirano, what are you going to say for yourself?
And David Hirano from the Office of the CAO, that was a very complete report. I'm not sure I have much to add other than our office is currently recommending the use of $1.4 million from the Special Parking Revenue Fund, and our report before you lays out how we would do that. So we ask for your approval.
And certainly inclined to support Mr. Koretz, and I really applaud the project. Just curious about the program that would otherwise be funded by the SPRF expenditure. I understand it's essentially being partially funded privately in the short term, and then the money will be restored in the coming fiscal year?
The amount of money set aside for the Code to Curb project, the Department of Transportation told us they wouldn't be able to expend during the course of this year. But the Code to Curb project is a project that the mayor and council have deemed a priority, and we believe is necessary as well. So our recommendation is to instruct DOT to continue to move down that path and continue to get ready to spend it so they can spend it next year, and to submit a budget request so that we all have it in hand so we can make sure that it gets included in the budget for next year.
And I can hold you personally accountable for making sure it's in the budget next year?
You can try, but I don't make those decisions. The mayor proposes his budget, and then you as a budget committee and the city council will do that.
I'll find a way to blame you anyway.
Yeah, I know you will. Yeah, but
okay. DOT, any feedback or comment? Ken?
Excuse me. Ken Husting, LADOT. And just want to reiterate about the Code to Curb. We are making headways on that project. We don't expect to spend the money this fiscal year. However, we may have that need next fiscal year, but we just want to reassure that we are making headways. We've met with different companies, and we're exploring different options to where we could expend even less.
Okay, excellent. We'll be having an update on that again in committee before the end of the year, I anticipate.
Yeah, I imagine you would.
Okay. Mr. Rue, any questions?
no, good.
Okay. All right, so there's been a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, that's the direction of the committee. Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Brings us to item number 11.
Item number 11 is LADOT report relative to the extension of the bike share program for the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, is there any staff here on this one? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Rubina Gazarian with LADOT. We're here today to talk about the potential expansion of bike share to the West Los Angeles region. And the report is requesting authorization to add $350,000 approximately to the budget in order to accommodate that expansion, as well as to extend the timeline of the downtown Los Angeles timeline for bike share from 2 years to 5 years, as well as to authorize the General Manager, Salida Reynolds, to extend that MOU period. Thank you.
Great. And I forget, Who's responsible for title sponsorship, us or Metro?
Metro.
Metro is, okay, all right.
It's a partnership, but Metro is the lead.
They're the lead, okay. And do we have a title sponsor lined up yet, do we know?
We do not.
Okay. We have a comment card here from Avital Shavit from Metro. Is he still here? Come on up. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Avital Shavit. I'm a transportation planning manager at LA County Metro. Been working with LADOT staff for the last couple of years on developing a regional bike share system in LA County. We are very excited to continue working with LADOT on expanding the program to West Los Angeles. The board on October 27th of Metro approved an expansion for Metro Bike Share to Pasadena, the Port of LA, and to West LA. And we look forward to continuing to work with our partners at LADOT to implement the project.
And where are we with the title sponsor?
We're currently working with our subcontractor, Comcast Spectacor, on looking for title sponsorship. That subcontractor has been talking and been in discussions with many different brands in Los Angeles and nationally, but currently we do not have a title sponsor.
Okay, I mean, I can't drive through Santa Monica without seeing green Hulu signs everywhere I go because it's all over their bike share. So I'll probe you on this one over at Metro headquarters at a Metro board meeting, I guess. Colleagues, any questions? Mr. Kretz.
So how well does this fit in with the surrounding cities that are doing bike share like Santa Monica? I believe it's not the same company. So do we have ways to reciprocate with our bicycles that wind up ours in Santa Monica is in ours in West LA?
Yeah, great question. We're working really closely with Santa Monica staff. We've already approved to have 5 of the Hulu stations located in the Venice area, and they're currently stationed there, and people are using them as if it were one geographic area. So we know that there is a need in order to serve the area further, and we've worked with staff in order to have an MOU in place so that when we have the Metro bike stations in Venice, we will also be able to station a few of them in the city of Santa Monica, so that we have interoperability. We're starting that conversation with co-locating stations. It will continue with our partners at Metro in looking at how on the back end we can also integrate interoperability through the tap card and potentially have a system where you could use both. So we're looking at those options. We're also working on, this is just a pilot, so this will help us to learn those lessons learned and be able to take the next steps in order to make that happen.
And what are West Hollywood and Beverly Hills up to, and can we eventually make this sort of a West Side seamless regional approach?
The idea would be to continue those conversations, and Metro is leading that effort with the interoperability meetings that are held with, I think once every 2 months, is that, with those cities, and we're looking to see how we can integrate the two technologies potentially, and as from the hardware perspective as well as from the software perspective on the back end with the tap card as the fare medium.
Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Rue, any questions?
Yes. I don't know whether DOT or Metro. So when you do future expansions, how do we apply for it? I know last time when this was up, want to make sure that, like for the Griffith Park area or some of my other areas like the LACMA area where the museums are, I would love to get on that list for the next expansion, if there is an expansion.
So in terms of how we are looking at working with cities to implement Metro Bike Share, so far we've been having basically self-identifying cities come to Metro and say, we are interested in implementing Bike Share, and we currently are going to be conducting a feasibility study to look at over 20 cities in Los Angeles County, including some of the areas that you mentioned, to look at their feasibility for Bike Share readiness. Something that we are looking at is there support to put bike share in those communities? Are those areas bike share ready? And we have kind of a long list of criteria for what that bike share readiness means? And also, is there funding available to meet that 50-50 capital match and the 65-35 operations?
I know a board member or two you can talk to who can help.
That was my next question. How do I apply, or do I just talk to our board members? Okay. But any of the new ones would be after 2019, or would there, especially with Measure M coming in, would it be able to move up forward, or?
Yeah, I think given the news, we'll be looking to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, there's demand citywide, and there are very clear factors that contribute to a successful bike share system. And if we're investing public dollars, we want to make sure that bikes are well used and that we have a true system and network. So I think that we're doing our own homework about where those cities are in Los Angeles and kind of prioritizing where we would want to go next. And there are actually things like density and mix of employment and residential. Bike infrastructure needs to be in place, and so we really need support around locating those places where it's going to be really successful. And so that's what we'll be doing and supporting Metro in their work, and then probably at some point bringing that back to Transportation Committee or City Council to sort of review and buy off on kind of how we think the system would roll out in Los Angeles. And then ultimately the Metro Board is the body that makes the final decision about where Metro's resources are going to be used in the near, medium, and long-term future. We did put in the central sub-region portion of the Measure M project list, which is the portion that's just in Los Angeles, a line item for mobility hubs and along with Dash and bike share and other things. So we'll be working closely with Metro to write the guidelines for how that money comes down the pike, to understand the timing and when we might receive it and how fast we could get to expansion. Obviously, if we were able to land a title sponsor sooner, we would be able to get to expansion, and we wouldn't need to go through a process of prioritization and those kinds of things. So, but certainly take your input, and we'll make sure that we include it as we think about feasibility.
Yeah, so for the record, I mean, for DOT, Metro, and our committee chair, that area where from Pan Pacific Park, Park La Brea, the Grove, Original Farmers Market, Park La Brea, and LACMA. It's that one site right there with high density, lots of walking. So
great, thank you. Okay, so on this item, is it simply a receive and file?
No, they're recommendations.
Recommend to approve? Okay. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded? Okay. Without objection, that item is approved. And that concludes our meeting. Thank you, everybody. Go